Good evening. Welcome to Primetime News on TV1. I'm Theruni Karunaratne. Here are tonight's top stories. Sri Lanka takes the field for 2025 Asia Cup cricket tournament. IMF's country representative says the Sri Lankan economy is moving forward rapidly. Chief Justice says digitalization will make access to justice easier for the public. Former chairman of the Batteguma Municipal Council and two others remanded for illegally keeping two jeeps. COPE reveals that evading responsibilities has caused significant losses to the country by the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau.
රාජ්‍ය භාගය අහිමි කරන්න කියලා ඒකයි හම්බෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම වෙනකල් ආයතන නිදාගෙන ඉඳියද මේකේ නැද්ද කවුරුත් ගිහිල්ලා මේ දෙන බලපත්‍ර මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් කරනවද නැද්ද කියලා හොයන්න කවුරුත් නැද්ද?
Nepal Parliament dissolved. General elections scheduled for the 5th of March. On to those stories in detail. Martha Walter Michael, the IMF resident representative for Sri Lanka, says the country's economy is advancing rapidly. Speaking at the 26th annual general meeting of the Tea Exporters Association, she said the country is moving in the right direction.
Let me start by acknowledging just how far Sri Lanka has come. Only 3 years ago, the country was in the depths of one of the most severe crises in its history. There were long lines of fuel, severe shortages of basic goods, record inflation, and widespread power outages. Sri Lanka had only a few $1 million left in usable reserves, and the fiscal accounts were severely strained, forcing the authorities to declare a payment moratorium. Both domestic and international confidence had evaporated, and for many households, daily life had become an exercise in hardship. Today, the picture is very different. Today, growth has returned. The economy expanded by 5% in 2024. Inflation is back in the low single digits. Revenue mobilization has improved significantly. International reserves continue to accumulate. Debt restructuring is well advanced, and investor confidence is gradually returning. Sri Lanka also took major steps to strengthen governance and advance its anti-corruption agenda. This remarkable revitalization did not happen by chance. It is the result of decisive actions by the authorities and the extraordinary resilience of the Sri Lankan people, supported by various external partners such as the IMF.
The Supreme Court of Sri Lanka launched a comprehensive digitalization program yesterday.
The Supreme Court web portal and e-case management system was launched yesterday.
We exercise judicial power of the people to the betterment of the people. So it is in that spirit that we thought we have an obligation, both legal and social. We have a duty to deliver justice effectively, efficiently, and impartially to the people of this country. It is to achieve that result that we embarked on the digital program today. And we will continue to do that, and we will continue to achieve throughout the country.
For far too long, our courts, like many of our institutions, have relied on traditional paper-based systems. While they served us well in the past, they are no longer adequate for the demands of modern society. Manual records, delays, and the need for constant physical attendance have often stood in the way of timely justice. In today's fast-changing world, where citizens expect efficiency, accessibility, and transparency, the need for digitalization is no longer optional, it's essential. This transformation demonstrates that Sri Lanka is ready to embrace technology to serve its people better and to align itself with global best practices. The benefits of this system are wide-ranging. Litigants and lawyers will now be able to receive updates instantly, track the progress of their cases online, and reduce unnecessary visits to courts. Equally important, this initiative strengthens public trust. By replacing manual process with secure, transparent and accountable digital system, The judiciary is sending a clear message. Justice will be delivered without delay, without unnecessary obstacles and without room for malpractice.
Small start to a very significant launch today, and then with the will to go towards a complete e-court system for Sri Lanka. And this is the kind of pioneering and frontier leadership that we require and hope for across all institutions of government and state. Because the digitalization of our economy, the acceleration of the digital economy overall cannot take place unless each and every institution joins this race and begins to rethink, to unlearn and relearn and change not only the systems but also change the way business is done, or in the case of the justice system, how justice is delivered. And here what we are aiming to achieve is a 5x growth in the digital economy, which today is around 3% of our total economy at around 3 to 4 billion US dollars, to grow the digital economy to around 15 billion in the next 4 years by 2030. So this is a 5x growth, a complete quantum leap in our positioning with respect to the penetration of the digital economy into the macro economy.
When our courts face mounting delays and procedural stagnation, justice itself becomes a mirage, visible in theory but painfully absent in reality. We in the legal profession see this daily. Clients wait, litigants lose faith, and the very foundation of democracy trembles. This launch today is not just about adapting to new technology. It is about restoring public trust in our justice system. From the perspective of the bar, ladies and gentlemen, this transformation brings three vital benefits: efficiency, convenience, and transparency. Efficiency, because soon lawyers will not have to be burdened with searching through piles of dusty files. Case records and case lists will be accessible at a click of a button. Filing will be simplified, service of documents streamlined, and adjournments reduced. Convenience. Lawyers, especially those practicing outside Colombo, will be able to access case updates without physically traveling to registries. Clients will be kept informed in real time, reducing frustration and unnecessary expense. Court time will be freed from the substantive work of justice rather than procedural bottlenecks. And transparency. With a digital footprint, every step of the process can be tracked.
Case file.
The Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, says that the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau Act should be amended to prevent irregularities in the Bureau. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau was summoned before the COPE yesterday, where the committee also held detailed discussions on the losses incurred by the government due to the mismanagement of responsibilities.
It was revealed at the COPE hearing that less than 10% of the license issued so far by the Geological Surveys and Mines Bureau are actually operational.
GSMB එක ස්ථාපිත කළාට පස්සේ සම්පූර්ණ නිකුත් කරු බලපත්‍ර සංඛ්‍යාව ගැන අදහසක් තියෙනවා.
මේ වෙනකොට ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර 450කට වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක් අපි නිකුත් කරලා තියෙනවා.
ඒකෙන් දැනට සක්‍රියභාවයේ තියෙන්නේ
දැන් 43ක් තියෙනවා. කැනීම් වලට ගිහින් තියෙන්නේ මේකේ බොහොම පොඩි ප්‍රමාණයක්.
කතාව ගත්තොත් ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර ගන්න කණ්ඩායම අපිට පේන්නේ නැහැ කැනීමක් කරනවා කියලා. සත්‍ය තත්ත්වය තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ මේ බලපත්‍රය තියාගෙන මාකට් කරනවා, මේක වෙළඳාමක් කරන්නේ.
Another issue revealed is that the companies holding licenses are not providing proper data on the exploration activities to the country.
එයාලගේ ප්‍රොෆිට් එක තමයි data ටික. ඔබතුමාලා මේ data ටික ගන්නවද?
ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර කාල සීමාව අවසානයේ අපිට කරන්න ඕනේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක්. අපිට කරන ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකේදී මේ දෙන ඩේටාස් වල නිරවද්‍යතාවය අපිට ඇත්තටම ප්‍රූව් කරගන්න අවස්ථාව හරි අඩුයි. මොකද්ද ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන එක ඇත්තද කියන එක.
මේ ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර හිමි සමාගම් ඒගොල්ලෝ වෙබ්සයිට්ස් වල ඒගොල්ලෝ අවධාරණය කරලා කියන්නේ අපි සතුව තමයි ලංකාවේ විශාලතම ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍රය තියෙන්නේ. මේ ගවේෂණය කරන ආයතන තමයි කැණීම් බලපත්‍ර විකුණලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබ ආයතනයෙන් කරන්න ඕන දේ ඒ ගවේෂණ සමාගම් විසින් තමයි කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
එතුමා කියන දේ සත්‍යයි. නමුත් අපිට ඒක විසඳ ගන්න ක්‍රමවේදයක් තාම. ඒ දත්ත පාවිච්චි කළා ඒගොල්ලන් වෙනම ෂෙයා මාකට් එකක ප්ලේ කරනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාලා පාලනයට තෙනීමේ තියෙන්නේ.
ඔව්.
මන්නාරම් දූපතෙහි කංජවැලි ගවේෂණය සඳහා බලපත්‍ර ලබාගත් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ලියාපදිංචි කළ සමාගම් පහම ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ ලියාපදිංචි එක් සමාගමක පරිපාලිත සමාගම් විය. වර්තමානයේ වන විට මෙම සමාගම් අතරින් දෙකකට අදාළ ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර 4ක් අවලංගු කර වෙනත් පාර්ශ්වයන් වෙත ලබා දීමට කටයුතු කර තිබුණු අතර ඉතිරි ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර 5 ඕස්ට්‍රේලියානු මව් සමාගමේ ලංකාවේ ලියාපදිංචි පරිපාලිත සමාගමක් සතුව පවතින බව නිරීක්ෂණය වූ අතර මෙතෙක් ඊට අදාළ ගවේෂණ කටයුතු අවසන් කර ගැනීම බලපත්‍ර ලබා ගැනීමට කටයුතු කර නොතිබුණි. මෙතන තියෙනවා ඇත්තටම අපේ රටට වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා. මේ මන්නාරම් දූපත ආශ්‍රිතව මේ ඛනිජ වැලි ගවේෂණය කිරීම උවමනාවක් අපිට තියෙනවා නම් ඒක යම් කණ්ඩායමක් විසින් බ්ලොක් කරගෙන හිටියද කියන එක. ඇත්තටම මේ தත්ත්වය අධ්‍යයනය නොකරද මේ ගවේෂණ බලපත්‍ර දෙන්නේ?
ඇත්තටම මේවා 2020 දී ඊට පස්සේ ඇත්තටම කාර්යාංශය විසින් විමර්ශනයක් කළා මාධ්‍යංශයත් සම්බන්ධ වෙලා මේ බලපත්‍ර තාවකාලිකව නතර කරා. නමුත් ඊට පස්සේ මේ සමාගම් හැබැයි 5ක් බලපත්‍ර නැවත ලබා ගත්තා.
අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි මේක මොනිටර් කරන ක්‍රියාවලිය සම්බන්ධ ගැටලුවක්. ක්‍රියාවලිය ගොඩනගා ගන්න ඕන ඔබතුමාලා. අපි නෙමෙයිනේ. ආයතනයේ පැත්තෙන් තමන්ගේ පනත ප්‍රකාරව වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා පනතට යම්
Discussions were also held regarding losses to the state during sand extraction at Muttukuduwa Estate in Puttalam, managed by the Chilaw Sand Company.
හලාවත වැවිලි සමාගමට අයත් පුත්තලම දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ පිහිටි මුක්කුතොඩුවාව වතුයායේ වැලි ඉවත් කිරීම සඳහා කොන්ත්‍රාත්කරු විසින් වැලි කියුබ් 36531 සිට 45560 දක්වා පරාසයක වැලි තොගයක් ඉවත් කර ඇති බව හා කියුබ් 1594ක් සඳහා පමණක් රාජ්‍ය භාගයේ ලෙස රුපියල් 6,84,464ක් කාර්යාංශය වෙත ගෙවා තිබූ බවත් විතරයි. මෙච්චර දෙයක් වෙද්දී තුන් වතාවක් ඔබතුමාලා මේකේ ලයිසන් එක දීර්ඝ කරනවා. 99ක් රාජ්‍ය භාගයේ අහිමි කරනවා.
අනිත් එක ප්‍රමාණ බලපත්‍ර ගන්න. ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම වෙනකල් ආයතනේ නිදාගෙන හිටියද? මේකේ නැද්ද කවුරුත් ගිහිල්ලා මේ දෙන බලපත්‍ර මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් කරනවද නැද්ද කියලා හොයන්න කවුරුත් නැද්ද?
මම සාතික කරනවා කියුබ් බිලියනයකට වැඩි ඇදලා තියෙන්නේ. රාජ්‍ය භාගයේ කොච්චර විතර එන්න ඕනද?
මේ සම්බන්ධව මම හිතන්නේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවෙත් පරීක්ෂණයක් සිදු වෙනවා.
Questions were also raised about overpayments exceeding 106 million rupees.
2012 වර්ෂයේ සිට 2025 අගෝස්තු 11 වෙනි දින දක්වා කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුලදී කැණීම් බලපත්‍ර 362කට අදාළ රුපියල් මිලියන 80.8ක් වටිනා බැඳුම් කර මුදල් කරවා ගැනීම සඳහා අදාළ බැංකු වෙත ඉදිරිපත් කර තිබුණද එම මුදල් මෙතෙක් කාර්යාංශය වෙත ලැබී නොතිබුණි. වර්තමානයේ වන විට මෙම බැඳුම් කර 362ම කල්ලිකුත් වී තිබුණි. ඊට අමතරව රුපියල් මිලියන 15.75කින් වටිනා බැඳුම් කර 75ක් 2020 වර්ෂයේදී කල්ලිකුත් වීමට පෙර මුදල් කර ගැනීම සඳහා බැංකුව වෙත ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමක්ද සිදු කර නැතුණි. මීට අදාළ පුනරුත්ථාපන කටයුතු සිදු කර තිබේද යන්න පරීක්ෂාවක්ද සිදු කර නොතිබුණි.
2013ට අදාළ 462ක් මිලියන රඳවගෙන තියෙනවානේ. මේවා උනා නම් මේක දැන් රිලීස් වෙන්න එපායි. එහෙනම් තවදුරටත් රඳවගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ නෑනේ. හැබැයි මේක ආයතන තුළ මේකට හරිය නිශ්චිත දත්ත මේක හොයාගන්න බෑ කියලා ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ. මේක රාජ්‍ය භාගයේ තියෙන යෝගතාවන්නේ කියන්නේ. ඒතකොට නිශ්චිත හඳුනගන්න ආයතන තුළ ක්‍රමවේදයක් නෑ මේකේ.
දැන් මාස 2-3කට ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ DCC එකට ආවා වැවක් හදන්න භූජන සේවක හරහා යෝජනාවක්. වැවක් හදන්න බෑනේ නිකන් ඒකට ගීමක් ඕනනේ. ඒක හොයාගෙන යනකොට මේ වැව කියන්නේ මොකක්ද දන්නවද? පස් කැනපු හෝ ගල් කඩපු වලක් වතුර පිරලා දැන් ඒක නීත්‍යානුකූල කරන්න යනවා වැවක් විදියට. ඔන්න ඕක තමයි පුනරුත්ථාපනය ඔයගොල්ලෝ. මේ පුනරුත්ථාපනත් අපිට ෂුවර් නෑ.
අපේ නිරීක්ෂණය අනුව පුනරුත්ථාපන ක්‍රියාවලියම පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරන්න ඕන.
හිතරිදව ගන්න එපා. මේක නිවැරදි විය යුතු නිසා මේ කියන්නේ. ඔබතුමාට කරන්න වෙච්ච දේ. මේ තමයි රට ගියපු විදිය. දැන් මේක හරියටම අපි අල්ලගත්තේ නැත්තම් හෙටත් මේක මෙහෙම වෙනවා. නිශ්චිතයි මේ ආණ්ඩුව බැනුම් අහන්න සූදානම් නැහැ වගේවට. ඒ නිසා මේක නිවැරදි විය යුතුමයි.
The former chairman of the Vattekama Municipal Council and 2 others who were arrested over the illegal import and false registration of 2 jeeps have been remanded until the 15th of September. Now this was after they were produced before Thilgania Acting Magistrate Kumari Karaliyatta.
The 2 suspects were arrested after a thorough investigation prompted by a tip-off received by the Central Crime Investigation Division. Police revealed that the suspects had altered official records of the Department of Motor Traffic to register the vehicles. One of the arrested individuals is Ravindra Bandara, the former Vattekama Municipal Council chairman elected under the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna in the 2018 local government elections. The other suspect is Lakshita Manoj Veerabahu, who is reported to have worked closely with former State Minister Lohan Ratwate.
An associate of detained organized criminal Bako Saman was arrested in possession of a T-81 firearm. Police said the 29-year-old suspect was arrested in Gangayaya, Ambilipitia. Authorities also seized 2 magazines, 97 rounds of ammunition and a military uniform from him. Police suspect the individual is involved in drugs and organized crime.
ඒක මොකද ගනිච්චේ? තරංගේ මේ බගන කාර්ය ටෙන්ඩර්. නෑ ඒක දාගත්තේ මොකද? පෙට්ටි කාඩ් පෙට්ටි. මොනවද තියෙන කාඩ් බෝඩ් පෙට්ටියද? මේ පෙට්ටි. උඩින් කෙසෙල් දාලා එහෙමද? ඈ? උඩින් කෙසෙල් දාලා කොහොමද දාලා හරිය? ඒක පොර කවරක පැක් කරලා තිබ්බේ? ඔය පොර පැක් එකෙන්ම පැක් කරලා. දැන් බත් එක ගියේ එක දන්නවනේ පෙට්ටිය ඇතුලේ මේ ටීවී එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා නේ? ඌ ගන්නේ.
Pacific Angel 2025, the largest multinational exercise hosted in Sri Lanka this year, concluded yesterday.
The US Embassy in Sri Lanka, together with the Sri Lanka Air Force and the Ministry of Defence, marked the successful conclusion of Exercise Pacific Angel 2025 yesterday. Held from the 8th to 12th September, Pacific Angel 2025 brought Indo-Pacific partners together to strengthen disaster response and humanitarian cooperation. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung, Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta, and Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force Air Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edirisinghe were in attendance.
What we built together today is the foundation for tomorrow's shared security. And this year's package of strengthened readiness through C-130 operations, search and rescue training, 8 subject matter exchanges, from jungle survival to maritime surveillance to medical response, cargo handling and mass casualty management. Each of these exchanges built the skills and resilience needed for faster, stronger responses to future crises. Pack Angel 25 was supported by C-130 aircraft alongside Sri Lanka's Bell 412, B-212 helicopters, and of course the King Air 350. Together, these assets showcased how each nation contributes to its unique strengths, sharing responsibility and reinforcing trust through cooperation. That is the essence of true partnership. Together, we are safeguarding security and open commerce. Natural disasters, humanitarian crises, and modern challenges do not stop at our borders.
The exercise united participants from across the region. US Pacific Forces trained alongside the Royal Australian Air Force, Japan Air Self-Defense Force, Maldivian National Defense Force, and the Bangladesh Air Force, with the Sri Lanka Navy and Army playing key roles as hosts.
In a world where security challenges are increasingly complex and transnational, exercises such as Pacific Angel reminds us of the demand for cooperation among militaries. They show us that collective preparedness is not a choice, but a necessity. The Indian Ocean region remains a vital theater in the global security and economic architecture. Its sea lines of communication connects nations and sustain commerce. However, they are vulnerable to natural disasters, climate-related risks, transnational crimes, and emerging security threats. Sri Lanka remains committed to continue its cooperation with the US and all regional partners. We recognize that the challenges of the present and future, whether they are man-made, environmental, or security-related, cannot be faced in isolation. Together we can build a safer, more resilient, Indian Ocean region.
The program featured 8 subject matter expert exchanges covering aircraft maintenance, search and rescue, jungle survival, aeromedical patient movement, mass casualty response and airlift operations.
Newsfirst with the people.
Police say the driver of a bus that crashed into a tree in Ravatavatta Moratua was under the influence of drugs.
The accident occurred today at around 6:45 a.m. While travelling from Colombo Fort to the Moratua bus terminal via Goal Road, the bus collided with a large tree in Ravatavatta, resulting in the accident. The driver of the bus was injured and admitted to Panadura Hospital. At the time of the accident, no passengers were on board. Police say the bus was being driven by the conductor, who, according to medical examinations, was under the influence of drugs at the time of the accident. Police added that the bus owner has been taken into custody for allowing the unlicensed conductor to drive the vehicle. Meanwhile, a woman who had been receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of Badulla General Hospital following the recent fatal bus accident in Alla passed away yesterday evening. The deceased has been identified as 44-year-old Namali Gamage, a resident of Tangol Municipal Housing Complex. She served as a computer operator at the Tangol Municipal Council. The woman was the eldest sibling in her family and cared for her mother, brother and sister. After the bus accident in Alla, she had been receiving intensive care at Badulla General Hospital, where she succumbed to her injuries yesterday evening. One other person injured in the Alla bus accident is still receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of Badulla Teaching Hospital. The death toll from the accident has now risen to 16.
Meanwhile, the Department of Motor Traffic has cancelled the existing circular issued for the decoration and renovation of passenger and leisure buses and has issued a new circular in its place. Commissioner General of Motor Traffic, Kamal Amarasinghe, says that the previous circular has been officially revoked and the new circular will take effect from the 9th of September.
The step was taken following discussions with Minister of Transport and Highways Bimal Ratnayaka. Kamal Amarasinghe says that according to the circular issued in 2023, 58 buses have been registered and granted permission after paying the necessary fees for renovation. He notes that only these decorated buses can be operated in a way that does not compromise the safety of passengers and pedestrians. The Commissioner General adds that accordingly no buses can be decorated or renovated beyond this, and the police will take legal action against any buses that do not comply.
The school term schedule for next year has been released. Accordingly, the first school term, which is conducted under 2 phases, will begin on the 1st of January.
The first phase of the term will continue until the 13th of February. The Ministry of Education said that schools will be given holidays from the 14th of February to the 2nd of March. The second phase of the first school term will begin on the 3rd of March and continue until the 10th of April. Schools will then be closed for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year holidays from the 11th of April to the 19th of April. The second school term is scheduled to begin on the 20th of April and continue until the 24th of July. The third school term will also be implemented in 2 phases. The first phase will run from the 27th of July to 7th of August, followed by holidays from the 8th of August to the 6th of September. The second phase of the third school term will take place from the 7th of September to the 4th of December.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
The Pyramid Wilma Chef's Hunt program kicked off today in Kandy.
Chef's Hunt program organized by Pyramid Wilma Private Limited commenced today in Kandy. Chef's Hunt is jointly conducted by Newsfirst and Pyramid Wilma Private Limited with support from the Chefs Guild of Sri Lanka and the National Apprenticeship and Technical Training Authority. The inaugural session included practical training as well as a written test. The program targets young aspiring chefs aged 18 to 25, providing them with the skills and knowledge to pursue a career in the culinary field.
The final rites of the late Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando were held today at the Boralla Public Cemetery. Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando, former Director of Public Relations of the Catholic Church of Sri Lanka, passed away yesterday morning. The body of Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando, former Director of Public Relations of the Catholic Church of Sri Lanka, was laid at the Boralla Archbishop's house for public homage. The funeral mass for the late Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando was held this evening at the Sacred Heart Church within the Boralla Archbishop's house. Afterwards, the body was taken to the Boralla Public Cemetery where, following religious rites, he was laid to rest.
Then api etumage shariraya e sadhanu labu pasatama pavada dennemu.
He was 83 years old at the time of his passing. Having battled illness in his final years, Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando spent his final days at the Evening Stars retirement home of the Catholic Church in Havelock. During his tenure as the Director of Public Relations of the Catholic Church of Sri Lanka, Reverend Father Benedict Joseph Fernando rendered distinguished service and also served as a director and member of several institutions, including the Catholic Christian Advisory Council and the Sinhala Lexicon Advisory Board. The Pathfinder Foundation officially launched the reprint of the Pali grammar work Balavatharu and Balavatara Gadaladini Samnya in Kandy.
The first copies were handed over in the morning to the Most Venerable Malwatu and Naskiri Mahanayaka Theras by founder of the Pathfinder Foundation, Milinda Morogoda, accompanied by a representative of the Indian High Commission. Originally compiled in 1800 AD by Rajaguru's second Dhammakirti and third Dhammakirti Theras, the work has been republished in its original format with the consent of the Mahanayaka Theras to support academic study of the Pali language. The initiative is sponsored by the Indian High Commission. Special guests at the event were the Pathfinder Foundation founder Milinda Morogoda, Most Venerable Dr. Niyangoda Vijitha Siri Thera, Most Venerable Dimbulkumure Saranankara Thera, and Most Venerable Vendeduwe Upali Thera. The book was distributed free of charge to attendees and interested institutions such as Pirivenas, temples and universities across Sri Lanka.
Nepal's former Supreme Court Chief Justice Sushila Karki has become the country's interim Prime Minister after deadly anti-corruption protests ousted the government.
The President of Nepal yesterday appointed former Supreme Court Chief Justice Sushila Karki as interim Prime Minister following fiery protests that caused the collapse of the previous administration. The 73-year-old was sworn in during a brief ceremony, becoming the first woman to lead the impoverished Himalayan nation after a deal was reached with protest leaders. President Ramchandra Paudel also dissolved Parliament and set 5th of March 2026 as the date for elections based on the recommendation of the new Prime Minister. Karki is expected to appoint ministers to her cabinet within a few days. Her cabinet will face multiple challenges including restoring law and order, restructuring Parliament and the other key buildings that were attacked, reassuring the Gen Z protesters who want change and others in Nepal who are fearful its young democracy and constitutional order could be derailed. More than 50 people were killed in clashes with the riot police during this week's mass protests, sparked by a ban on social media platforms. The ban was lifted on Monday, but by then protests had swelled into a mass movement. Angry crowds set fire to parliament and government buildings in the capital Kathmandu on Tuesday, forcing Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign. The protests were triggered by the government's decision last week to ban 26 social media platforms, including WhatsApp, Instagram and Facebook, but they soon widened to embody much deeper discontent with Nepal's political elite.
The UN General Assembly voted to back the New York Declaration, a resolution which seeks to breathe new life into the two-state solution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict without the involvement of Hamas.
The text was adopted by 142 votes in favor, 10 against, including Israel and key ally the United States, and 12 abstentions. It clearly condemns Hamas and demands that it surrender its weapons. Sri Lanka also welcomed the adoption of the resolution. Although Israel has criticized UN bodies for nearly 2 years over their failure to condemn Hamas's attack on the 7th of October 2023, the declaration presented by France and Saudi Arabia leaves no ambiguity. Formally called the New York Declaration on the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine and the implementation of the two-state solution, the text states that, quote-unquote, Hamas must free all hostages, and that UN General Assembly condemns the attacks committed by Hamas against civilians on the 7th of October. It also calls for collective action to end the war in Gaza, to achieve a just, peaceful and lasting settlement of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict based on the effective implementation of the two-state solution. The declaration, which was already endorsed by the Arab League and co-signed in July by 17 UN member states, including several Arab countries, also goes further than condemning Hamas, seeking to fully excise them from leadership in Gaza.
The Sri Lanka team is facing Bangladesh today in the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament. This is Sri Lanka's first match in the tournament.
Sri Lanka were the champions of the last T20 Asia Cup tournament held in 2022. Accordingly, in this year's T20 Asia Cup cricket tournament, Sri Lanka enter as the defending champions.
After the last series against Zimbabwe, there hasn't been any major change in the batting lineup, though the final 11 is yet to be confirmed. Wanidu Hasaranga is in the side, and we expect to go with 3 fast bowlers. Our focus is to take the tournament game by game without looking too far ahead. I see Kusal and Pathun managing their roles as well. It is not an easy task, but they've been handling it strong, which is why they are among the runs. Nuwan Tushara will definitely feature in tomorrow's match. Mentally, being the defending champions gives us confidence. These are the same players who won the title last time. So as players, we believe we can go far in this tournament.
Sri Lanka is playing in Group B of the 2025 Asia Cup alongside Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Hong Kong. Charita Salanka will lead Sri Lanka in the tournament, while Liton Das will captain the Bangladesh team. The match is underway in Abu Dhabi and began at 8 p.m. today. All matches of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament will be broadcast live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder, and streamed on www.sirasatv.lk.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Good night.